My name is Gary, and this documentary is about my life, what it used to be and what it is now. I hope this documentary will help you in your recovery.
Gary had been a runaway, a chronic truant. As he says, I spent most of my life running away, mostly from myself. He started his criminal career when he was a Boy Scout, stealing items from camp counselors. And from there he went into starting to drink alcohol and stealing alcohol to feed his habit. Graduated to drug possession, and as a teenager spent 2 years in jail for stolen property. Gary had even escaped behind bars several times. He was diagnosed as a young teen with attention deficit, and a doctor even said he was a sociopath. He was evaluated at a state hospital in Nebraska in 1988. He attempted suicide in jail in Missouri, cutting his wrist. Later on, in another prison, Gary tried to cut his arm off. All this time, he stayed away from his family most of his life. He was ashamed, did not think he was worthy of their love and attention. He told me his father was very judgmental and domineering. You might say Gary's self-esteem started off low and just went lower and lower and lower. He didn't go into much detail, but he also told me that he'd been involved in gang activity as a leader, mostly involved in theft, some violence. Said he didn't elaborate, and I didn't ask. But he said, Steve, I did some really bad things, and I was a really bad person. When Gary was 52 years old, he began pulling away from his addictions and drinking alcohol to excess. But he didn't seek out any medical assistance or substance abuse treatment or mental health care. And during his life on the streets in Denver, in his early 50s, something inside of him began to change. But the hopelessness and his lack of love for himself or anybody else just kept him in that place. Until 3 men, one named Juan, another named Mike, and a third named Bruce, who were from a local mental health center, they found Gary on the street and struck up conversations with him. And as Gary shared with me, he said, they asked him, says, Gary, do you really want to continue to live this way? And he said, no. I said, well, come with us. They took Gary to a local church. One of the churches was called Open Door Church, and the other one, Christ Body Church in Denver. They also took him to the mental health center where they were working, and they listened to him. They showed him kindness. They gave him hot meals, clean clothes, and started to treat him like a human being. And for the first time in his life, I believe Gary Billington saw hope. As time went on and Gary began to become sober and stayed away from the alcohol, stayed away from the drugs, got through his rehabilitation process successfully, it occurred to him, says, well, I don't think I've had a real job ever. So he decided he wanted to do what these other men had done for him. he wanted to do the same thing to help others. And then he found out he could actually get paid as what's called a peer support specialist. So they helped him get trained, and he went through months and months of intensive training, made more friends, and earned the respect of therapists and social workers and doctors. And when he graduated from the training, he was hired by the operators of the program in Aurora, Colorado. In January, he remembers the date, January the 23rd, 2009. And this was his first real job in his whole life. And from that point on, Gary was like a tornado. Everywhere he went, he was helping people, touching people, giving them a taste of hope that maybe they'd never had either. And it didn't matter what their criminal record might have been, or how long they'd been on the street, or how addicted they were, or what they were addicted to. He loved people unconditionally, but he was tough. You couldn't pull the wool over Gary's eyes. He knew if you were lying. I'll just close with this great quote that we put in the article that we submitted for an essay contest about his life. And he says, "I've had bricks thrown at me all my life. And now I've stopped throwing the bricks back at others in hate and fear and anger. Now I turn those bricks into tools for comfort and blessing and good." So there you have it. Gary Billington, born in 1957 and passed away to go into the arms of his Savior in July of 2014. Oh, Gary! Love you, guy! Lightning bolt, too. Woohoo!
My name is Gary, and I was homeless 6 years ago, and I used Christ's body and the Open Door Mission to help me come out of my homelessness. Pastor Bruce and Pastor John, there's Pastor Bruce, you might want to shoot him. But anyway, they're God sent, they're my brothers. I love them with all my heart. We're doing an upcoming documentary on my recovery. I would sure like for you all to witness it and allow me to share what's in my heart with you.